Part 92. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 920. Latest website. Mu Jia felt a little hesitant when he heard this. If he just told him something innocuous, he might not survive the night, but if he told him something, he would have to start a career of wandering around the world. The midnight wind was less hot and made me feel particularly comfortable. In a blink of an eye, several excavators drove over and started demolishing the bar without saying a word. The scene in front of him was so shocking that the bar owner probably would never have imagined that just because someone touched Sarami's butt in his bar, the bar disappeared overnight. Such a thing was unimaginable in China, even in the 1990s. Speak somewhere else, Lu Feng gestured towards the captain. The captain waved his hand, and the two men went up to detain Mu Jia and got into the car. The car returned to the hotel entrance. Lu Feng got out of the car, looked at Mu Jia and said, "You let me experience many firsts. This door, for the first time, I experienced a hail of bullets." Mu Jia looked at Lu Feng. At this moment, the last trace of his temper had disappeared, and he said, "I'm sorry." "It doesn't matter, just bring him in," Lu Feng said to the captain. "Go buy some body bags, maybe they will be useful." Mu Jia was already walking inside. Hearing the captain's instructions to his subordinates, he was so frightened that he became alert. It seemed that he was really making preparations. In an instant, Mu Jia was in a state of confusion. "When I returned to the hotel, I had a simple meal first. I didn't bother to talk to Kevin about tonight's events. I pulled Mu Jia into the room first. Except for the captain and a few personal bodyguards, all other staff went back and will work as usual tomorrow." Mu Jia was tied hand and foot and sat on the sofa. Lu Feng asked the captain, "Did you buy the bag?" "Bought it?" A team member next to him took out a few bags and muttered, "The big bags are gone, so I bought some small bags, but they're still okay. Let's cut them into pieces." Mu Jia was sitting on the sofa and was about to faint from fright. "Maybe it won't be needed, so ask first." Lu Feng sat down, looked at Mu Jia with a kind smile, and said, "Is your name Mu Jia?" "Hello, Mr. Mu Jia." "Hello, there's no need to be so polite." Mu Jia forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. For him, death was not scary. What was scary was the preparations before him. It was really scary. "It's getting late. Let's open the skylight and speak openly. If you have anything to say, just say it." Lu Feng lit a cigarette and leaned on the sofa. A thin layer of sweat appeared on Mu Jia's forehead. He was so scared that he collapsed that night. He took a deep breath and said, "I met the person in charge of the Motorola branch at a dinner party 3 months ago. Man, Shitai, I am the captain of a special brigade of the 9th Army. Because I know a few leaders, there are some things that are inconvenient for them to come forward, so I will handle them for them. Because I'm not in the military camp, I have a lot of freedom. When doing things for them, I also take on some jobs. More than a month ago, Shitai called me and said that he would find some gangsters to smash some shops and tell me what was in his heart. I really don't want to take on such a bad thing, it's too cheap. But he offered a price of 1 million baht, so I accepted it. At that time, I learned that there were 70 stores, and the few people under my command were too busy, so I called Digi and Pike. I gave them 500,000 baht, and they found someone to handle it. Afterwards, I used my connections and called them to fish them out. A few days later, he called me again and said that you are here and asked me to deal with you. He said that he would give me 20 million baht. I refused on the spot. I have no grudge against you. No, as for taking your life, we discussed it for a long time and settled on 10 million baht, just to scare you. As long as you leave Thailand, I can get the money." Mu Jia looked a little frustrated and said, "I can't help myself, I'm just someone else's white glove. Even though these people are in the business, they are very close to some leaders. I'm just an errand. No more, Lu Feng looked at him and said. I just help the leader find some women, or smuggle some things or something, just an errand boy, Mu Jia hurriedly explained. Just this little news? Lu Feng absolutely didn't believe it. He sat there and thought for a while, then said to the captain, do you think this room can be soundproofed? Soundproofing? I don't know, it should be okay. I'm afraid that the gunfire will affect other people's rest. Lu Feng picked up the pistol with some embarrassment, glanced at it, threw it aside and said, forget it, don't move the gun, get the knife. Mu Jia could only understand some of the captain's words. Judging from Lu Feng's movements, it looked like he was going to kill him. He was immediately anxious, but there were some things that he really couldn't say. Hold on and tell him to hurry up. Where is the blood going? Did you buy a plastic sheet? Spread it on the ground, Lu Feng asked the captain. The captain turned around and spoke to several team members in Thai, which was so frightening that Mu Jia nearly fainted. Don't move around, okay? Put this bag on your head, and soon, if you move around, you'll be sprayed, and the hotel will be in trouble. The captain discussed with Mu Jia, everyone can do things easily, right? Please cooperate. Tell him, I really told you everything. I beg you, if you want to know anything, just ask, I will definitely tell the truth. Mu Jia was so anxious that he almost spoke Chinese. He said, let us ask whatever we want. If this bastard doesn't tell the truth, don't be afraid of getting it on the floor. Just pull it into the bathroom and rush in as soon as you're done. Lu Feng waved his hand and said, drag him in. If you don't cooperate, then go to the bathroom. Once you're done, just put the bag in the bag. The captain waved to the two team members, and they set up the curtain and dragged it to the bathroom. Mu Jia's whole body was like a puddle of mud, shaking his head desperately. The last line of psychological defense was about to collapse. When he was dragged to the bathroom door, Lu Feng turned on the nozzle and pulled out a short blade. He couldn't hold it anymore. I tell you everything, but you have to promise not to kill me, Mu Jia shouted. You said just now that you have no grievances against me, and I am telling you now that I have no grievances like you. As long as you say something useful, I will arrange for you to go to the United States and give you a sum of money. Lu Feng knelt down and said, can you tell me? Let me tell you, I am responsible for some shameful things, such as helping them resell cigarettes, collecting various women, assassinating competitors, and acting as a broker for some international companies. Many things are of little use to you, but I know one thing, it's business related, something about Toshiba Group. Explain. The international community has various restrictions on Laomazi, but if they want to buy some high-end machine tools and assembly lines, they will pay high prices on the international black market. Toshiba is doing this. I have participated in it several times. Thailand as a transit point, it is responsible for unloading, escorting, handover, etc. Lu Feng always felt that this matter was so familiar. After thinking about it for a moment, wasn't this the Toshiba incident that shocked the world? Is there any relevant evidence? Lu Feng asked. Yes, I have kept a copy of the transaction procedures. Mu Jia looked at Lu Feng and said, can this matter be exchanged for my life? Of course. Lu Feng stood up and said, where is the thing? Go get it now. He untied the rope from his feet, put a coat on his body and went downstairs. An hour later, he got the things from another residence of Mu Jia. He checked on the spot and confirmed that the relevant procedures had formed a chain of evidence. Lu Feng then he untied him with a smile. Now you have two choices. First, you go by yourself. Second, I will give you $100,000 and send you to the United States, but after you go, you will answer my call at any time, and I estimate that it will be of great use over there. How much future can you get by being a white glove for those bullies here? Lu Feng put his arm around Mu Jia's shoulders and said with a smile, I will find a way to make you a white glove for the Americans. Gloves. I don't know why, but Mu Jia looked at half of Lu Feng's face looming under the moonlight, and the white teeth I showed when I smiled were a bit eye-catching. Maybe this young man is the real ruthless person. He has no choice. Even if he goes back, will the leader still believe him? I'm afraid I'll give him a bullet. I choose to go to the United States. Well done, from now on, you are my brother. I don't have many brothers. Once you become my brother, then wait for your career. Lu Feng patted him heavily on the shoulder and said, go back to the hotel and rest. I'll buy a fake identity and book a flight for you tomorrow. It's late at night, and Pattaya seems to have become a construction site. More than a dozen garbage trucks are waiting to transport the garbage. Excavators and forklifts are busy. Sometimes corpses can be seen among the broken bricks. However, these construction projects the personnel just don't care. Degi had already run away. When the Mu Jia group came, he told his men to retreat quickly. If a fight broke out, it would be beyond their control. When the gang from the security office entered, he slipped away. It was getting dark, and Degi drove his boss who had just sobered up. What do you think I want you to do? No matter how big the deal is, you have to hold on. If you can't hold on, why did you bring me here? The boss, a man in his 60s, covered his head with his hands. Seems to have a headache. This matter is no longer under my control. Last night, there were more than a dozen police cars, and shots were fired from behind. All the waiters ran away. I asked you to come here because, holy shit, where is the store? The boss opened his eyes and took a look. He was completely confused. He suspected that he had drunk too much and was hallucinating. There was a large massage parlor next to him. The massage parlor was still there, but only a piece of flat ground was left in his bar on several floors. No bricks were left. Oh my God. The boss pushed open the car door and ran over crying, stamping his feet anxiously. Degi leaned back in his seat, eyes blank, and muttered, why am I unemployed when they fight? Latest website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 921. Latest website. The boss was able to open such a large bar, dance hall, and comprehensive entertainment venue. He still had the energy behind it, but Degi said someone came, and now the bar has been shoveled clean again. Thank you very much for being able to survive. This night is destined to become a legend in Thailand. The nickname Regal will also be spread among everyone. After tonight, Regal Security Company will naturally be connected with the military in the hearts of many people. This will have a great impact on the development of the company. It will be of great help. The next day, Motorola, Toshiba, Panasonic, Sony, and other companies were selling like crazy. Toshiba was even more popular, and its sales volume once exceeded Motorola. Sales of mobile phones, TVs, laptops, etc. surged. The smoke in the world has not yet dissipated, and the business world has entered a feverish stage. Early in the morning, 2 photos were published in the morning paper. One was a photo of Tongpala crying in pain, and the other was a photo of Toshiba branch manager Wei Wei. Pull photos. The title is, There is a difference between entrepreneurs and beggars, cowards only cry. The content is even more harsh. He claims that Tongpala is just a puppet launched by an overseas company. He is not an engineer at all. Everything is made up. He even curses in the article, saying that he is the light of Thailand. How many industries are produced in Thailand and how many jobs are created? He also claimed that Tongpala has never shown his face since this incident. From this, it can be seen that he has a guilty conscience. It was early in the morning. Lu Feng was still a little confused. He sat in the breakfast room with a lot of newspapers in front of him. The little translator stood aside and read. Lu Feng waved his hand and said, Stop talking about it so early in the morning. I have a headache. Mr. Liu, what did you do last night? Kevin felt something was wrong and didn't see Sarami. Just to deal with some things, everything in the world has been leveled. Well, it has been leveled. Now just focus on business. Lu Feng nodded with certainty. As long as no one threatens life and safety. Kevin's heart finally filled his stomach when he heard this. How's the billboard going? Lu Feng asked. We have stepped up production of 5,000 billboards of various sizes. They were distributed last night. They should be able to be hung up today. The clothes have also been made, including some banners and so on. Lu Feng put down his chopsticks and nodded, saying, then we'll start our counter-attack from today. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Shatai arrived at the company, looked at yesterday's sales, and called Watanabe first. Hey, could you please take Mr. Watanabe's call? Is he at work? Shatai said with a smile on his face. Okay, I'll transfer you immediately. Watanabe had just arrived at the company and was going to have a meeting later. When the call was transferred, he picked up the phone and said, who is this? It's me, Shatai from the Thailand branch. I have very good news to report to you. We have now completely blocked that Guangming Electronics company. All media cannot publish it, and yesterday our sales further increased. Single daily sales exceeded 3 billion baht, a record high. When Shi Watanabe heard the news, a smile appeared on his face. He leaned on his chair and said, you can do it? You're doing very well. It's only been a few days since we launched an encirclement and suppression campaign against Lu Feng. Keep up the hard work and we'll get the results at the end of this year. I will try to give you more of the company's rewards. If this is done well, your authority will be greatly increased in the future. Thank you so much. This is what I should do. Without your full support, I would not have been able to achieve results so quickly. Their sales have plummeted, and it is expected that there will be no sales within a month. Shatai, the smile on his face couldn't stop. Okay, keep up the good work. After hanging up the phone, Watanabe had new ideas about today's meeting. He picked up the folder on the table and walked towards the conference room. Everyone sat down. He looked at the executives at all levels and said, I'll start with announcing good news. The overseas blockade against GFN Electronics has been formed. Don't underestimate this matter. This is a battle fought in cooperation with Wall Street. We must win the position among international capital, and this battle must be fought beautifully. Everyone present has already heard the words Wall Street and their ears are ringing. Since Watanabe came here, instead of studying overseas markets, he has started studying Wall Street. A blockade has been formed now, and the next step is to strangle him. Let him go back to China. After the market shrinks back, a second round of encirclement and suppression will be carried out in the Chinese market. Shatai from the branch did a very good job in this matter. There is a need to learn, and when the time comes, successful cases must be shared with major overseas branches to learn from. Now is the darkest moment for GFN Electronics. The capital that is paying attention to this matter all over the world has already felt that in such a small market, a battle line has been gathered, and the countdown to death has begun to count down. Even the senior management of Schroeder Investment Group stopped discussing the matter. Li Lin also returned to the hotel and did not contact anyone for 2 days. She could not change anything. Just like that saying, what cannot be obtained on the battlefield is even less possible at the negotiation table, and the same is true in business wars. At 9 o'clock in the morning, all 70 stores of Guangming Electronics opened their doors. There were many customers at the door, but they were all here to see. There has been constant news about them in the past few days, and some were even tempted by words and came to return goods. The store also returned all items. At around 9 o'clock, all the staff put on new short-sleeved shirts with slogans written on them. At the same time, a banner was hung in the store, which read, "Capital is strangling the light of Thailand." When local companies with conscience stand up, Capital will be cold. The knife was already on his neck. Various agricultural vehicles and trucks tied billboards to them, put on a speaker and began to form a convoy to parade through the streets. What was playing was not a song, but Tongpala's voice. Hello everyone, I am Tongpala, the chairman of Guangming Electronics. I am the engineer who returned from overseas. I am sorry to announce to you in this way, but I feel that I must let everyone know what happened. The news in the past 2 days, it's overwhelming, and I'm in a lot of pain. I want to say something to everyone through the media, but all the domestic media are paid and don't allow me to speak out. I am in pain, really in pain. The enthusiasm I felt when I returned to China has calmed down now. I am a simple and honest person. I only understand technology and do not understand people's hearts. Some time ago, the heads of Motorola and Toshiba gave me I called and threatened me, asking me to raise the price, or else they would besiege me. I didn't take it seriously. I didn't expect that they would really take action and try their best to discredit me. Just because my selling price was low, but their profit was several times higher, I couldn't do it. I came back to do something, just to do something. Let the era of rampant foreign investment pass. Tongpala's words were particularly sincere and touching, as if he had been bullied by foreign capital and had to tell everyone because he was weak. On the streets and alleys, countless people stopped and listened to this passage, feeling filled with emotion. I raised my head and saw workers starting construction next to the street lamp. 2 plaques were hung up. It was a photo of Tongpala crying in pain. Above it was a line of words, his company is called Guangming, but he can't see Guangming. Passers-by raised their heads and looked at the billboard blankly. At this moment, their hearts were hurt. Why did a person who wanted to do something for the Chinese people have to go through this? As offline advertisements began to roll out, emotions began to change. The rhetoric of those in charge of foreign investment on TV and in newspapers was no match for Tongpala's honest expression. Tongpala is a puppet, and someone is controlling him behind the scenes, a man in his 30s cursed while looking at the billboard. The people around him turned their heads, no one spoke, and stared at him. Everything I said is true. He is a puppet. So many bosses say he is a puppet. Those bosses are all here to make money from you. The boss of Guangming Electronics has publicly said that their costs are very low and the price gap between domestic and foreign countries is huge. They have joined forces to raise the price just because he sells it cheap. He said it really, so now I don't even have the qualification to speak. Someone angrily shouted at the man, "You are just a traitor and a lackey of capital." Facing the glares of so many people, the man did not dare to speak. Marketing is like this. It is a zero-sum game with competitors. Either the east wind prevails over the west wind, or the west wind overpowers the east wind. At 11 o'clock, there were more people in Guangming Electronics store. There was a TV set at the door, playing Tongpala's interview. A man in his 30s walked into the store and selected one VCD, walked to the counter to pay, and then strode out quickly. The clerk noticed that he hadn't picked up the product yet, so he hurriedly chased him out and said, "Sir, you didn't pick up your VCD. No need. Support domestic production." After he said that, he ran further and further away. The people who were originally standing outside to watch the excitement were shocked when they saw this scene. "Look at me, I look at you." Most of them dispersed. Only a small number of people in need walked into the store. At noon at that time, sales began to increase. At noon, Vera and Chatai gathered together for dinner and opened a bottle of champagne to celebrate. They were naturally praised for completing the tasks given by the headquarters so quickly. Chatai ate the steak and said, "Let me tell you, these are just side dishes now. Next, I will give you a hard dish." "What hard food?" Vera asked curiously. "Look at it." Chatai took out his mobile phone and made a call. After a while, the call was connected and he asked, "How is it?" When will we start checking? Mr. Jha, I just wanted to call you. This matter is difficult to deal with. Things were going well in the past. They all agreed to do random inspections today and close tomorrow. Unexpectedly, they suddenly came to me just now and said, this company does not. There was a problem, so he scolded me righteously. What? Shatai was a little confused and asked, did you take the kickback for your money? How is that possible? I just follow the rules. Is there not enough money? We can add more. Shatai felt that something was not right. He used to use the department to investigate and deal with many local companies to spend some money. No, people told me that a person must have a conscience. They don't do this kind of thing, and they called me a bitch. Conscience, Shatai couldn't believe that these two words would come out of those people's mouths. It was definitely not a matter of conscience. There was some force behind this interfering. Latest website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 922. Latest website. The other end of the phone categorically said that this matter was definitely not going to work, and that they should not even think about sealing up Guangming Electronics. Shatai felt that something was starting to go wrong. After hanging up the phone, his face looked a little ugly. Vera on the other side saw something was wrong with him and asked, what's wrong? There was a small problem, but it didn't have a big impact. It's a foregone conclusion now, and there won't be any big waves, Shatai said, feeling like he was comforting himself. Yes, with such huge market pressure from you and me, and other companies have also started to engage in activities, where is there room for him to survive? Vera smiled confidently. Relax, even if it is, no matter how powerful Monkey Sun is, he can't escape position. Shatai nodded slightly. These words were a comfort. Vera was different from Shatai. His understanding of Lu Feng was based on some information. He was just a small business that wanted to go overseas. He never understood that the headquarters valued such a person so much. In his eyes, he could kill him with just a few moves of his fingers. However, Shatai, a loser, had been busy for so long. If he hadn't joined in, he might still have achieved nothing. Of course, Vera would not say these words to Shatai. In my opinion, it is better to hold a business conference. Don't let Lu Feng hide and call him over. We can squeeze him in business and hold a conference so that everyone can take a good look. Vera leaned on the chair. Said, if he dares to come, I promise to let him lose this person in the Thai market. This is a solution. After all, the media is in our hands now, and he can't afford to make any trouble. Shatai felt that what he said made sense. This needs to be done quickly. How about tomorrow? Good. The two of them finished their meal and went back to the company. As soon as they arrived at the company, a vice president entered Shatai's office and said slightly nervously, Guangming Electronics has made great efforts. This morning they started laying billboards, mobile vehicle promotions, store promotions, etc. means. How much has the sales increased? Shatai asked in surprise. It's probably doubled from yesterday. How many sales were there yesterday? Even if they doubled, it wouldn't be much, Shatai said without any panic. Go and make arrangements, organize some kind of business meeting, call Tongpala and Lu Feng, and then notify some media. Will do live broadcasts when they need to. Do you understand? Okay, I'll do it right away. It had been 2 or 3 days, but there was still no action from Mu Jia. Shatai felt that this person was a bit unreliable, so he picked up the phone and called Mu Jia, but no one answered. Huh, what are you talking about with white gloves? You have the nerve to hang out with this little skill. Shatai didn't pay much attention to him. If he didn't do anything, the 20 million baht would be his own. What's more, in his eyes, Lu Feng has already attacked Numo. As long as the current blockade is maintained, it is only a matter of time before Guangming Electronics is silenced. A plane took off from Bangkok Airport and its destination was New York, USA. Mu Jia changed into casual clothes, sunglasses, and a mask. At this moment, he boarded the plane with the name Muhan. "I'm afraid it will never be possible to come back in this life." Mu Jia asked the stewardess for a glass of red wine, looked at the bustling Bangkok outside the window, and slowly looked away. At least he was still alive, and he was so much better than the taller ones. Too much. The publicity was going on in full swing, but the international community did not pay attention to Guangming Electronics publicity on the streets. Kevin hurried in with a folder and saw Lu Feng said, "Sales are starting to pick up. Isn't this normal? We are playing with characters and taking the path of tragedy. In addition, the people at the bottom have an expectation for the prosperity of the country. Our products and after-sales services are fine. Whoever's turn it is will die. It's not our turn to die." Lu Feng leaned on the chair and said, "After we have established a foothold, we must strengthen publicity and open more stores." Will the subsequent marketing still follow this route? Kevin felt that this brand image was not enough selling point. Marketing is never a route. The essence of marketing is to be close to people's hearts and integrate brands or products into consumers' lives. When you have a different feeling for a brand and it is a necessity, then next time you choose, I will choose it without hesitation. Lu Feng looked at Kevin and said, "The domestic light is a kind of marketing. The real selling point is whether this light can light up, and this kind of thing cannot be used for a long time. You must learn to integrate into the local area, take root in it." "I don't quite understand," Kevin wondered. "It's just high-profile charity, donating money every year, hiding the knife behind my back, and a smile on my face. So what we have to do next is make a donation." Lu Feng stared at him and said, "Do you understand?" Kevin thought for a moment and said, "I seem to understand. Silent marketing that moisturizes things is the highest level. It's like the second uncle next door. If he tells you something good one day, you will definitely try it instead of resisting or questioning it, or even when outsiders attack him. You will also help him. No brand is immune from mistakes, so what we have to do is to become the second uncle of consumers." Kevin understood that Tongpala's simple and honest image, coupled with his personality, coupled with the close relationship with a second uncle, the product quality is high. This combination can make consumers believe it without thinking. Own. In the short term, this kind of marketing strategy is indeed very slow, but if you apply it in the long term, it will really become a brand that will not fail. Then why isn't it used in China? Kevin feels that this strategy is better than the domestic multi-brand and multifaceted strategy. Lu Feng said nothing, silently lighting a cigarette, and then said after a while, "I don't want to lie to them." "Then, how much is the donation?" Kevin pondered. "Even if we donate, we don't have a publicity window." Before Kevin could finish his words, someone knocked on the office door, and Lu Feng said, "Come in." The Deputy General Manager of Thailand came in and said to Lu Feng in English, "Mr. Lu, there is an invitation letter initiated by Shatai, scheduled for tomorrow, and just sent over. Let me see. Don't let Tongpala attend some useless external meetings, and try to keep him from showing up as little as possible," Lu Feng said and took the invitation. "It's not for Tongpala, but for you." The Vice President handed over the invitation letter. "For me?" Lu Feng was stunned when he looked at the words on it. It was actually a Chinese invitation, with it written in italics. "It is scheduled for tomorrow, September 7th, to specially invite Lu, the chairman of Jiafeng Electronics Group." Mr. Feng attended the Thailand Electronics Association Global Summit Forum. The name is quite big, but for something that was created in such a hurry, Lu Feng could almost guess what the situation was. "Do you want me to come forward? Have you sent an invitation to Tongpala?" Lu Feng asked. "Sent," the vice president replied. "I heard that 270 media will be present tomorrow, basically including some domestic media, and there will be a live broadcast. Ouch, 270 media outlets, such a huge formation and official authority. Lu Feng raised his eyebrows and said, they are going to hold a criticism meeting for me. It's better not to go to this kind of meeting. They are now risking their lives to expose this layer of membrane to ordinary people. We can't give him this opportunity, Kevin said solemnly. No. No, no, no. Lu Feng shook his head repeatedly, frowning slightly, and said, we have to go. If we don't go, then let them say it. And with so many media present, didn't you just say that there are no publicity channels for donations? They can't control it during the live broadcast, so let's announce it on the spot. Kevin was right. If he didn't go, there was no point in letting them smear him. Get ready and go separately with Tongpala tomorrow, Lu Feng ordered towards Kevin. Tell Tongpala that he should continue to maintain a simple and honest image and not good at words. Tomorrow, if they dare to attack and insult them, they will be scolded. The two discussed it and decided on tomorrow's itinerary. They will also strengthen the promotion of mobile vehicles tomorrow and officially launch the event. For purchases over 100,000 baht, there will be an 8.5% discount and a price reduction promotion. In the evening, Tongpala got the invitation, and Kevin also conveyed President Lu's thoughts. He couldn't raise much energy while sitting there. He originally thought that he would become the chairman, but with Lu Feng's promotion, he would become a celebrity. Everyone respects themselves. But now Tongpala is simply a punching bag. He doesn't dress well and has to cry every day. If it weren't for Lu Feng's money and fame, he would have quit long ago. Okay, I get it. Remember, it's 2 million baht, donated to poor children to help them go to school. Do you understand? Kevin asked again. Clear. For ordinary people, it is the end of another ordinary day, but for the business world, many people feel that the sharpest storm is coming. Guangming Electronics' offline counterattack is very strong, especially the sentence "he sees it without seeing the light." I don't know how many people's hearts it has touched. Tonight, Shatai and Vera held a dinner and invited a number of Thai business celebrities to attend in preparation for tomorrow's forum. Although the two are heads of the branch, they are not top-notch in the business world. They spent a lot of effort to invite the biggest figure, Sampa, the big boss of the rubber industry. You can come, our place is really full of glory, I'd like to toast you a glass. Shatai drank the red wine in the glass generously. Songpa didn't really want to come, it was just a favor, and some favors had to be repaid. You guys have been making a lot of moves recently? You are really terrible, Songpa said politely. I can't compare with you. If I don't work at Motorola in the future, I will still have to rely on you. With you attending tomorrow's forum, we have a ballast and we feel more at ease. Vera smiled and said, you may not we pay too much attention to the electronics industry. Recently, a foreigner came and turned our industry upside down. We can't sleep peacefully for a day. Really? Who is he? Songpa asked curiously. He's from China. This event tomorrow is for him. You have to speak more than Shatai said flatteringly, we juniors are being bullied so much that we can't hold our heads up. Latest website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 923. Latest website. The atmosphere at the scene was very good. Vera and Shatai were crazy about flattering Sampa. Although they were executives of international companies, they also knew in their hearts that they wanted to develop in Thailand after all, and it was impossible to go international. And business tycoons like Songpa are what they want to protect. There were constant laughter, and Songpa often looked down in front of some big people. Occasionally, he also needed to find a sense of presence in front of these little people. Tonight was definitely a pleasant night for him. The next day, there were more and more rumors about Guangming Electronics, and a dispute broke out between the two parties. When people don't understand the truth, they tend to sympathize with the weak. This matter is no exception. Public opinion on Guangming Electronics quickly reversed. Countless people were discussing this matter in the streets and hated Toshiba and Motorola. If the product power cannot keep up, this kind of verbal support will only be support, just like Nokia back then. Only if the product power can keep up, people will gain an unprecedented vanity when supporting. I bought what I wanted, but when I told others, I would say that in order to support domestic products, I instantly showed that I was noble. The reputation of GFN Electronics product quality and after-sales service was already very good. Now Guangming Electronics is the same as before. Naturally, consumer satisfaction is very good, and the reputation is also spread by word of mouth. Early in the morning, dozens of media and newspapers once again put Guangming Electronics on the headlines. The content was nothing more than some questioning, and even going as far as to uncover the past affairs of Paula, pointing out that GFN Electronics was the manipulator behind it. Ordinary people have long been indifferent to this bombardment of reports, and are even a little irritated. This is what happens every day, and they prefer to read gossip content. Lu Feng has cancelled the translation of the local newspaper in the morning and started to focus on some international news. In recent days, international finance has obviously paid less attention to GFN Electronics. Also, who would stare at a company that is about to be strangled and keep reporting on it until it dies? That is very boring. After dinner in the morning, we held a morning meeting and asked branch management at all levels to continue to strengthen offline publicity, use offline to attack print media and TV media, and increase wall advertising. We must continue to do this in the next few years. Starting from today, promotional activities will be carried out. Our prices are relatively low, which is a major advantage in itself. If they want to reduce prices and want to continue to fight, then we will accompany them. Didn't we say that we have $30 million US? Our 30 million RMB funds will soon arrive. Lu Feng sat in the main seat and looked at the dozens of people in the conference room. The translator stood beside him and translated in real time. After the funds are received, we will speed up the expansion of stores. 70 stores are far from enough. If they want to continue the price war, we will fully support them. We will fight as long as they want to fight until they are completely victorious, regardless of the points. Chad Tai from the company, or Shi Watanabe from the headquarters, no one can stop us, Lu Feng said solemnly to the crowd. There was a round of applause, and everyone could feel that Mr. Lu was serious about it this time. With the worries of Mujia, Diki, and Pike having been resolved, Lu Feng obviously let go of his hands and feet. The brand of Guangming Electronics will always be a brand that is close to the hearts of the Thai people. It is to tear off the coat of international capital and let people see their ugly side. During the 1-hour meeting, Lu Feng set a tone for the branch. Prices will always be cheaper than international big brands, after-sales service will always be more considerate than international big brands, and the service target will always be the broadest range of ordinary people. We will not make luxury goods, we will not make products that exceed our own profits by more than 5 times, and we will not make inferior products. Of course, Lu Feng would never tell the Thai executives about the 5-fold profit. In fact, GFN Electronics had just entered Thailand, and Kevin's pricing was ready to be in line with companies like Motorola. The profit of a single product was as high as 10 times, but was rejected by Lu Feng. There is no competitiveness at the same price, low price is always the sharpest attack. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Lu Feng went downstairs alone, without Kevin, and went to the forum venue alone. Because this so-called summit forum was too rushed, it could only be held in a 5-star hotel. A temporary stage was set up behind. It was a background board with a line of Thai text written about the summit forum. The scene was relatively shabby, but there were a lot of media. The crowd was crowded with reporters, and various cameras were on the stage. Female reporters stood in front of the camera and reported. People who didn't know it thought it was a press conference. Many people have come one after another, sitting down and whispering to the people around them, how much money the two families spent on such a large battle. Because the character is relatively shabby, Kevin told Tongpala to keep a low profile when he went there last night, and instead of taking a car, just take a taxi. As soon as he got out of the taxi, the camera was filming him wildly. A group of people gathered around him, and all kinds of aggressive interviews were coming. Tongpala lowered his head and walked inside without saying a word. 10 minutes later, 3 cars parked in front of the hotel. 7 or 8 bodyguards came down to clear the place first, then opened the car door. Lu Feng stepped out and strode toward the inside. There were less than 50 people in total, and Lu Feng's seat was arranged next to Tongpala. The two looked at each other and sat down directly without speaking. There were gradually more people at the scene. Looking at Lu Feng and Tongpala in front, they were muttering quietly. Many of them originally thought that Lu Feng was a man in his 50s or 60s, but they didn't expect him to be so young. Okay, distinguished guests, please take your seats. The summit forum will begin soon. The host came up, arranged for everyone to take their seats, and said, "Next, let us welcome the organizers of this high-end forum with warm applause. Mr. Chathay, President of Motorola Thailand, Mr. Wara, President of Toshiba Thailand, and our distinguished guest, Mr. Sampha." There was sparse applause at the scene. Lu Feng glanced at the place where he was playing. Unexpectedly, Songpa, a rubber plantation worker, came to join in the fun. Amidst the applause, the 3 of them went up to the stage and chattered. Lu Feng didn't bring an interpreter, and he didn't want to listen to their nonsense, so he simply sat in the audience with his eyes closed and meditated. Shatai stood on the stage and boasted about himself. After being polite for a long time, he got down to the topic. After the 3 of them sat down on the stage, an interpreter came up to translate into English. Shatai looked at Lu Feng and Tong in the audience. Paras said, "A lot of things have indeed happened in recent times, especially in the electronics industry. I believe ordinary people already know about it. Today we also invited Mr. Tongpala. He claims to have graduated from a well-known foreign university. He worked as a chief engineer in a large foreign electronics company. He returned to China and founded the company Guangming Electronics. The war of words between us in the media is also quite intense. Duo, I just take this opportunity today to ask Mr. Tongpala, I checked the schools and companies you mentioned, but there is no one like you." Shatai changed the topic and continued, "It's not me who is persecuting outstanding domestic talents. I really can't find out." Lu Feng had discussed these issues together before. The camera was focused on Tongpala. He took the microphone and said, "I dropped out of school. When I was a senior in college, I took the postgraduate entrance examination, so I was squeezed out of the quota for the son of a powerful family. I was slapped with a label and fired. As for the company, because I wanted to return to China to start a business, they directly sued me. The lawsuit has been going on for a year, but there is no result yet, so no information can be found." What a coincidence, Vera couldn't help but said, "It's not easy for you to meet them all." "I'm telling the truth," Tongpala looked honest and helpless. Facing the camera, he looked a bit harmless, as if what he said was true, but no one believed it. "I'm just curious. Do you know this friend next to you?" Shatai asked again. Tongpala glanced at Lu Feng and said, "I saw him in the newspaper. He is the boss of GFN Electronics. Is it just a meeting? Stop talking nonsense here. You two are basically the same family. Before GFN Electronics branch in Thailand, you were a partner and responsible for the sales channels. Don't you know him?" Vera sneered and seemed so disdainful. This was not like a summit forum, but more like a questioning meeting. The 2 people sat on the stage with their legs crossed, aggressive like gangsters, questioning and mocking the dark-skinned, honest-faced man in the audience. On the live broadcast on TV, the two looked like the kind of villains that make people gnash their teeth. They were so hated by others. It was like Tongpala's simplicity and honesty, which made the two of them a perfect foil. The two asked for a long time, but didn't ask anything. They looked at Lu Feng, who also stared at the two of them. The three of them looked at each other, and Lu Feng's lips curved into a smile. "Mr. Lu, I want to know why you still stay here since your company has been dissolved." Shatai stared at Lu Feng. Lu Feng took the microphone and said in fluent English, "Is it none of your business?" No one at the scene expected that Mr. Lu would always use swear words when he opened his mouth. He was somewhat famous internationally after all. "I'm just curious about your relationship with him. Is this Guangming Electronics your handiwork?" Vera asked. "Why do I need to report to you? Who do you think you are? I can give you enough face just by being here today, but you still have to be here gibbering, doubting this, doubting that. Are you a business owner, or are you the one who solved the case? Can I doubt that your mother took advantage of your father's absence to have you?" Lu Feng stood up and sneered at the two of them. "Forgot, you two are not in the business, at best. As a gatekeeper, it is better to guard the gate of the Thai market than anything else." Wow! The scene was in an uproar. No one could have imagined that participating in a forum would be so exciting. In the live broadcast dispatching car, the director's voice sounded in the director's earphones, and he said excitedly, "The ratings have gone up, let them film that young man." Thai translation, "Be sure to show his translate your unruly and arrogant tone for me." Latest website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 924. Latest website. Shatai never expected that Lu Feng, a man who was preparing to enter the international market, would speak in such a toneless manner. For a moment, he blushed and became angry. Vero looked angry and shouted at Lu Feng, "Who are you scolding?" "I'm scolding you too. What's the matter? My company has been disbanded, so I'm just staying here to relax, and you still have the nerve to send me an invitation. You're not looking for scolding. What are you doing?" Lu Feng looked around the scene and shouted, "You international capitals, one by one, are all cannibals who eat people without spitting out their bones. You jointly squeeze the market and use all kinds of methods. I also encountered death threats some time ago. Where did you get the face to call me coming? Mr. Lu, winners and losers, you have withdrawn from the Thai market, which means that your products are not good. You have to find the reasons for everything from yourself, not from other people. No one in this world will suppress you for no reason. The company no, it just won't work." Vera stared at Lu Feng and said. "Really? I'm looking for the reason from myself. It's because I'm not in the same trench as you. When we first entered Thailand, you took the initiative to contact us and asked for unification in market prices so that you can maintain your single products. High profits. We don't want to collude with you, so what happened? Encirclement and suppression," Lu Feng said angrily. 70 stores were all smashed, shocking the world. This is a business war, friends. Looking for the cause within ourselves? I did find it, but the store clerk was not equipped with a gun. Mr. Lu, don't blame us for the impact you received." Vera shouted angrily at Lu Feng. "What evidence do you have that we were the instigator? You are making such nonsense here. I didn't say it was you who instigated me. Why are you so anxious? I've been forced to do nothing. Why don't I dissolve the company?" Lu Feng patted Tongpala on the shoulder and said, "This old man is full of sincerity. He wanted to return to China to start a business, but what was the result? He was framed, insulted, and suspected of fraud. All the guns were pointed at him for a while. Whose cake did he touch? The two of us ended up like this. Can you give me an answer?" Vera sneered and didn't care about Lu Feng's question. She picked up the microphone and said, "As I said just now, if you can't survive in any market, you have to find your own problems. You can't put all the blame on your opponents. This is a very weak behavior." Really? To be honest, after watching this period of time, I feel guilty for this old man. Anyway, I have no plans to return to China recently. Since you said that we are complicit, then I really have to do something to come out. Otherwise, it will be unfair. Lu Feng stared at the two of them and said, "You said, if you don't do well, you should find the reason from yourself. I'm waiting for you to find the reason from yourself." Vera stood up and gave a speech about how the company served Thailand and how many jobs it had created. He almost described the two branches as the light of Thailand. Good products must be produced with the backing of large companies and have excellent corporate genes. When people purchase, good products can bring a completely different experience. Companies like GFN Electronics and Guangming Electronics, I think they should close down. They are dumping garbage into the market, Vera said aggressively. Such companies cannot help the local electronics industry at all. Everyone should applaud them when they go bankrupt. Thongpala just sat there and stared blankly, looking extremely honest. The Thai people in front of the TV were gnashing their teeth as they watched. Such a person, being bullied like this, sat without saying a word, with a look on his face. Only grievance remains. People who didn't watch TV at first glanced at it casually. When they saw Shatai and Vera with their legs crossed and their arrogant postures, it really made people hate them. Shatai saw that what Vera said was almost the same, and looked at Sampa, ready to verify what Vera just said, and said, "This is a famous entrepreneur in our country, Mr. Sampa. The essence of any good business management is it's the same as above, and I'm honored to invite you here today. Now you can be regarded as the veritable richest man in Thailand." Sampa originally wanted to stay for a while and then leave, chatting casually. Because of his investment in Goldman Sachs Group, his net worth has skyrocketed and he has become the richest man in Thailand. He did not expect that Lu Feng would be involved in this tit-for-tat confrontation. In the past few days, he had met Sarami once, and she had given her various gifts. She had given her whatever she wanted. After testing her words several times, she was still very firm about Lu Feng, so Songpa didn't want to offend this person. "Not really, it's just a compliment," Songpa said with a smile. "Actually, if I have worked in a large company, I know one truth, that is, large companies have stricter product control, especially in terms of management, which is extremely strict, while some small companies, without any brand, in order to make dirty money, cutting corners and shoddy materials in invisible places. I think you have encountered this kind of companies in the rubber field. What do you think of low-end companies like GFN Electronics and Guangming Electronics?" Shatai directly after giving Sampa a message, all he needed to do next was to criticize him harshly. Sampa is very famous in the Thai business community and has helped many entrepreneurs. He is considered a real industry authority. Everyone in the audience already understood at this moment that Shatai and Vera wanted to use authority to characterize the two of them. If the boss said you are rubbish, then you are rubbish. How many international business circles and Thai business circles and people pay attention to them? As long as they are labeled as a garbage enterprise on this land, it will be completely useless. Shatai and Vera must have already discussed it before inviting Sampa. Now it is just a formality, letting the authorities evaluate these two companies and directly throw them into the bottomless abyss. The atmosphere at the scene began to relax, and many people present smiled and whispered. It was obvious that today's trap was to trap these two people, and they would not be able to escape. I don't think Mr. Sampa will say anything harsh for a while, but he will definitely criticize him. As long as people say these are two garbage companies, with his prestige and the fact that Vera and Shatai are so forced to compete in the market, it's basically a dead end. In China, if the big guys at the top think you can't do it, then you really can't do it. Sampha is considered to be a very powerful person in the business world. Unlike China, China is so big that every province has its own market. No one can cover the sky with just one hand. Thailand is very small. A top businessman like Sampha only needs a few people. You can control the entire business world. Sampha took the phone and looked at Lu Feng. He really didn't want to offend Lu Feng, so he looked both ways. Deep down, he was a little dissatisfied with Vera and Chatai. For it. Sampha pondered for a moment and said, "We have always been adhering to the concept of welcoming any company to invest. As long as there are more companies, our employment can be guaranteed. Of course, the issues here are very complicated and cannot be explained in just one sentence. The sentence is clear, but I still think that the market should be a free market. Recently, there has been a turmoil with violence and killings happening at every turn, and the international impact is very bad. Another point, whether it is running a business or being a human being, you must be honest. This is very important. I still have a meeting, so I will withdraw first." Everyone present was dumbfounded when they heard Sampha's words. They did not hear the words they expected. Instead, the authority in their eyes seemed to be saying that Chatai and Vera were dishonest. Is Sampha afraid of Lu Feng? Such a ridiculous idea suddenly popped into everyone's mind. Before the translation came, Sampha had already put down the phone, stood up and walked out under the protection of the bodyguards, leaving only Vera and Chatai sitting on the stage with embarrassed faces. It was clearly agreed upon last night that he was just asked to confront a small boss, but to his surprise, Sampha seemed to be running away. The scene didn't know how to proceed. Vera quickly calmed down, looked at Lu Feng and said, "Mr. Sampha is too lazy to comment on a garbage company like yours. Mr. Lu, you can't survive here. It's you who should get out as soon as possible. The only option is to forget about talking about benefiting the Thai people. Now you two will catch one. He and I are on the same team. The microphone is with you. Whatever you say will be whatever you say. But I want to tell you, if I fight back, I will be afraid of you, the head of a small branch." "I can't bear it," Lu Feng said solemnly. "Ha ha ha ha," Vera laughed with disdain, and Chatai on the side couldn't help laughing. Vera said, "I'm so scared. There is a live TV broadcast right now, and millions of Thais are watching. Look, I am hosting this live broadcast just to let everyone see your faces clearly. I'm the same way. Let them see how you guys are working as mischief to help foreign capital squeeze out the interests of this country." Lu Feng sat down with a relaxed expression and said, "You don't need to target me. I don't have a business now, I'm just a person, just an outsider." Everyone at the scene focused their attention on Tongpala. This honest and humble man sat here for more than an hour without saying a word. "Let me say a few words." Tongpala took the microphone and looked at the camera and said, "I am just a technician. I don't understand many things in the company. I don't want to talk about it now. I just want to come back and do something. Recently I discovered there are many children in poor areas who cannot afford to go to school, so I can only do something trivial and donate 2 million baht to them to do my little bit." As soon as these words came out, the Thai people in front of the TV broke their guard. Some people looked at the honest, dark-skinned man in the camera, just like their own father. Those people were eloquent and talked to each other with sharp teeth and claws. Despite the criticism, he was the only one who remained silent, just wanting to do something for himself. Chatai and Vero looked at each other, thinking that Tongpala was going to do some marketing for themselves. Unexpectedly, they didn't say a word, and they felt a little relieved. As everyone knows, this marketing has broken into everyone's hearts. Latest website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 925. Latest website. The live TV broadcast came to an end, and many media members had already walked outside. Lu Feng stood up, straightened his clothes, and stared at Chat and Tai. In the live broadcast just now, the two of them had completely lost. Vera was not very happy that Sampa did not criticize Lu Feng and Tongpala. He strode down quickly and stood one step away, staring at Lu Feng. Many people at the scene became nervous when they saw this situation. "What the hell do you want to do?" Lu Feng asked in English. "Don't be so arrogant. It's easy to get into trouble in a foreign country. Also, get out of here as soon as possible, otherwise it will be too late when you want to leave." Vera has always felt that she belongs to the elite level, and she stays in high-end hotels. The people were all business elites like Shatai. He looked at Tongpala and sneered, "Do you think you are worthy of standing next to me? There are too many people threatening me, but I am still alive and kicking. Also, I have to advise you too. As the head of a branch, it is not enough to just monopolize the streak. Once someone competes with you, they will come. You can't survive." Lu Feng said to the two of them sincerely, "Learn more, I beg you. Look, hay is leaking out of your shirt, hide it, you idiot." "Who the hell are you talking about?" Vera couldn't help it anymore and grabbed Lu Feng's collar and was about to take action. The bodyguards from both sides rushed over quickly and pulled the two people over. "As for you two, to be honest, it's Muzha and Pike who are more troublesome. That's because I'm not familiar with the place. They can't solve it. You two are really nothing." Lu Feng held out a finger. Said, 1 week. I will warmly welcome you two to be laid off in a week." When there was no media, Lu Feng openly told the two of them in front of the people around him that he would need to clarify this relationship with Schroeder's group in the future anyway. "Okay, let's play and see who kills who," Vera said with a gloomy expression. Shatai was already stunned on the spot, and Lu Feng said Muzha's name, indicating that he already knew everything, and even Muzha might not be alive anymore. His biggest culprit was quietly solved by Lu Feng? Coupled with the unwillingness of some local departments to seize Guangming Electronics, Zatai instantly felt his hairs standing on end. Unknowingly, in addition to the market and media encircling Lu Feng, he had already been in other directions without even realizing it. Breakout. Lu Feng took Tongpala away. Vera was very angry. In his imagination, a man like Lu Feng, who was struggling to his death, should be begging him to give up some market share so that Guangming Electronics could survive. However, he dared to talk to him like this. He was simply asking for death. Something happened. Shatai pulled Vera aside and briefly explained the matter. Vera was also stunned. She didn't expect Lu Feng to do so many things quietly. There was something not right between the two of them, and they could tell that Lu Feng had made many friends during this period, and Songpa's sudden change of heart was probably because they knew each other. "We can't wait any longer. The headquarters won't see any results. We are the ones getting scolded. In my opinion, we can directly subsidize and compete with lower prices." Shatai proposed a simple and crude method. Guangming Electronics sales are on the rise, and this method can suppress them as quickly as possible. These two people have not experienced any business competition. The pricing power in Thailand's electronics market has always been negotiated by these companies. They are friends. If there is anything wrong, they will punish themselves with 3 drinks. The two of them were like soldiers who had never been on the battlefield. The most ruthless way they could think of was to cover it with firepower. After a while, they decided to make a big price reduction. Tongpala was besieged by foreign capital and faced difficulties in production and operation, but it still spent 2 million baht to care for poor students. This made countless people feel that such people should not be harmed. What's more, during this time, Guangming Electronics' product quality has already gained a reputation. Compared with the arrogance of other foreign-owned store clerks, Guangming Electronics clerks are much more amiable and approachable. In many aspects, Guangming Electronics is getting closer to ordinary people, but Shitai, Vera, and others still feel that they can still make a lot of money by assuming a superior attitude. In the afternoon, Toshiba and Motorola announced price cuts, up to 20% off. As soon as the news came out, it caused a sensation in the industry. The two companies were really jealous. Some people claimed that this was a massacre of Guangming Electronics. In the hotel conference room, Lu Feng looked at Kevin and others and asked, "Is this just a price reduction?" "Yes, it's just a price reduction, very simple and crude." After Kevin finished speaking, he couldn't hold it in anymore and burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha, Lu Feng also laughed. Even though some of the management in the company couldn't understand Lu Feng's Chinese, they laughed awkwardly. Are these two pigs? Even pigs can't do this. Do you think Shi Watanabe will be pissed off by these two things? Lu Feng smiled and said, "We will also lower the price and add new ones. It's time for the product to be launched. The previous radios and home appliances were a mess. It's time to launch them. This aspect is already being arranged. It is expected that 2 new products will be launched tomorrow. The price is slightly higher because there is a discount now," Kevin replied. "Since you want discounts, let's do something. Let's call it to support domestic products, and then start building a wall and find ways to turn customers into repeat customers. Let's use a points system. 1 baht, 1 point. When the time comes, it can be converted into money for consumption. My suggestion is to exclude VCDS from activities. First of all, we only have VCDS. Secondly, even if there are pirated ones, the interfaces are wrong. This thing has a natural mode." Lu Feng wrote and drew on the blank text, "mainly TV sets. Once the TV set is sold, it must be equipped with audio, VCD and so on, so the TV set with the biggest discount this time is the TV set. Any promotional activity is essentially to attract people, to attract a group of customers who were originally waiting at the door, and to pave the way for their second consumption. Whether it is points, expansion coupons, or half price for the second cup, it is the same. Yes, I will try my best to get you to make a second consumption." Shitai and Vera obviously didn't understand this. They just cut the price simply and rudely. No branch manager could do this kind of behavior. The store of Guangming Electronics is already crowded with people. There is no mobile internet now, otherwise it would definitely be the hottest spot on the internet. Countless people gathered here, some shed tears with excitement, some moved themselves, and told the story of Tongpala to the people around them. In the evening, the data was summarized. Compared with yesterday, the single-day sales tripled. In the room, Lu Feng looked at the newly released data, nodded to express his satisfaction, and said, "Everything that needs to be done has been done, let's see how it breaks out." The next day, the Tongpala incident continued to ferment, and the media was still controlled by Shitai and Vera. Only occasionally, a paragraph about promoting Tongpala could be seen in some small magazines. But in the streets and alleys, Guangming Electronics propaganda is everywhere, and red arches have been erected in front of major stores. No matter how big the momentum is, it can be done. People began to boycott foreign products, and some even rushed into Motorola stores and cursed at the staff inside. The prices of the two companies were so severe that there was already a long queue at the door. Someone was ready to take advantage of the opportunity and wait until the event was over to sell them at the original price. Parties also began to appear in Guangming Electronics stores, and TV sets became a hot commodity. Everyone who bought something would have a stamp on the receipt. When the time came, they would bring the receipt, and the amount on it would be points, which could be spent as money. For a time, the whole of Bangkok seemed to be in shortage of televisions, mobile phones, and pagers. Toshiba was selling like crazy, Motorola was also selling like crazy, and Guangming Electronics was once out of stock. Everyone is frantically overdrafting potential consumers, and it's a game to see who can survive. 20% off. With such a large shipment volume, 20% of the profits disappeared out of thin air. How could Shatai and Vera afford it? They have become accustomed to making money from the original price, giving discounts as if they were losing money. Throughout the morning, sales exceeded 1 billion baht. 200 million baht was gone in half a day. Shatai looked at the data on the report, his heart trembling. He had a mission goal this year. Vera also received the report in the morning. It would be fake if she didn't feel bad. If she keeps doing this, she may not be able to complete this year's tasks. However, the more times like this, the more important it is to see who can resist better. Vera picked up the phone and called Shatai. I tell you, no one can stop now. You have to remember that we have $30 million in our hands to burn, and he can't afford it. Vera comforted Shatai, and at the same time comforted herself. I'm just afraid that I won't be able to complete this year's mission. I don't know where so many people came out of thin air and bought it like crazy. Shatai sighed and said, I won't read it. It has no other use than being upset. They are also losing money, and I took a look today. The sales volume is very good. Their profits are not high to begin with. If they drop another round and the sales volume increases, I don't think they can handle it. Vera's voice sounded slightly Xian said sinisterly, why don't we increase the stakes? If this stalemate continues, how about a blitzkrieg? How to fight? Shatai wondered. 30% off. Their after-sales service adds up to little profit, but we still have profit. Shatai thought about it and felt that it made sense. Long-term pain was better than short-term pain. If it continued to be consumed like this, he was afraid that he would not be able to bear it, so he might as well get a big one. The two companies urgently planned a set of superimposed preferential plans. After they were announced to the public, the business community went crazy. Are they going crazy? In the conference room, Kevin briefly explained the situation. Now they want to play a big game. Do you want to accompany them? Lu Feng smoked a cigarette and asked, has the 30 million arrived? Arrive. It's fun, right? I'll stay with them until the end and give them a 40% discount. Latest website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 926. Latest website. As soon as the news from the three parties came out, the business community was shocked. This was life-threatening. Many of them have been calling around and telling their friends about the good news, and some have begun to make up their minds. With such a low price, as long as the brand can hold on, they will pick up these things a year later. Come out and sell it and make a net profit of 3 or 4 levels. It's just that the startup capital is relatively large, and some people have begun to call friends to pool money to stock up on a batch of Motorola and Toshiba pagers and mobile phones. The next day, before it got dark, there were already queues of people in front of both houses. In comparison, Guangming Electronics was not so attractive. As the rolling shutters opened and business officially started, an unprecedented scene unfolded in front of everyone. Every customer in front of the retail store placed a large order, and the last one ordered 500 pagers at a time. It took less than an hour for the store to open. Sales have exceeded 1 billion. In comparison, Guangming Electronics does not have such a large single customer sales volume, but the price was not high in the first place, and now it is even lower with a 40% discount. There are long queues in all 70 stores, even the 3 stores that just opened the day before yesterday. The 10 stores were also crowded. This incident was so big that many bosses came to see the excitement. After all, they could force Motorola and Toshiba to this point, and Guangming Electronics deserved their death. They are now seizing potential users, lowering the threshold, and allowing more customers to enter. However, people who buy these things will eventually finish their purchases. At that time, it will be a life and death battle. Let me see, Guangming Electronics will be dead before that day comes. You don't really think that Tongpala is an engineer who has returned to China, do you? He also has capital behind him, and he can afford it, but he is not as powerful as these two companies. I really can't understand the current market, but one thing is certain, that is, if the promotion lasts for more than a week, people will no longer be new to it, and this kind of panic buying will never happen again. Which one of the two companies can afford to pay the compensation? During this period, Toshiba and Motorola's news media are spending a lot of money. Guangming Electronics street patrol cars and various billboards have also thrown in a lot of money. If they don't fight to the death, it won't count. Over. I think in a few days, these two companies will be branches, and the $30 million will probably be burned. Why don't Shatai and Vera get some kickbacks? Several people laughed. This was already an open secret. In the morning, 30 Motorola stores were sold out, and 50 Toshiba stores were sold out. Sales in the morning exceeded 3 billion baht. This number is absolutely shocking. No company can sell out in Thailand. In this market, such large sales can be achieved in half a day. It also reflects Motorola's local brand appeal from the side. Shatai and Vera were dumbfounded when they saw the sales data. This morning's sales were equivalent to a small $100 million. They sold at a 30% discount, and $30 million were gone. Who can bear to pay like this? Shatai couldn't bear it anymore. He regretted it now. If he had known that he had let him shoot Lu Feng with one shot, nothing would have happened. He was also indecisive, which led to today's situation. It's too late to say anything now. I don't even know if there is any scum left. The first task was how to report this matter to his superiors. If the losses continued, Shatai simply could not bear the losses. Even if he killed Lu Feng, he would have been fired by then. On the phone, Vera and Shatai were a little anxious. Why don't we announce that it's sold out in the afternoon? I'm just wondering, where are so many people coming from? We sold half a year's worth. Shatai was particularly puzzled on the phone. The scalpers are hoarding goods. We have now announced that they are sold out. A lot of products will appear on the market immediately. It will be difficult to complete the sales task next year. Vera sighed and said, but don't be afraid, we will reduce the price in a limited amount. This afternoon sell 100 million, and one person can only sell the same product once, so we should crack down on scalpers. Okay, we've got 3 billion, and we're not short of this 100 million. At noon, the two stores announced new regulations again. Others changed them overnight, but they changed them at noon. At around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Lu Feng sat in the conference room and looked at some summary data from the morning, and said, it's not bad, there's a little profit. Mr. Lu, our profits here cannot be calculated as domestic, we have to pay taxes, and the freight is also relatively expensive. I asked them to do a rough calculation today, including personnel, venue, transportation fees, costs, and everything else. We are currently losing about 20%, Kevin said solemnly. Isn't it double the profit? Why did you lose so much? Lu Feng asked in surprise. It's true that the profit is doubled, but the recent expenses have been too great. 100 stores, staff salaries, publicity, and marketing, these are all real money taken out of the account. Instead of looking at product profits, we look at the company's financial account. That money is the money that belongs to the head office, Kevin said. Overseas companies all calculate accounts this way, because no one knows what will happen in this country tomorrow, so all investment costs are considered one-time expenditures. Even if it is tomorrow this country tells us to get out, and we won't lose money if we leave with our funds. If we calculate this account this way, it would be a huge loss. Lu Feng sat up straight and thought about it. No wonder the limit is set in the afternoon, and they are in pain too. Of course they feel hurt. We are our own company, and they are part-time workers. They have sales tasks every year, and the net profit assessment is reported to the head office. If you do well, you will naturally get a lot of bonuses. If you don't do well, you will have to leave. It's so big these two people can't handle a loss. Kevin knew the behavior of the heads of these overseas branches very well. We have already won. Before the fight started, Lu Feng lit a cigarette and laughed and said, "You are so weak." Kevin saw that Lu Feng was a little distracted, and secretly thought to himself, "You are in financial trouble now. It is easy here in Thailand, but the finance at the group headquarters has gone crazy. The $3.5 billion has not been received, but has been transferred away. 30 million. In the afternoon, people clearly felt that Motorola and Toshiba were becoming less and less confident. Some scalpers who had not stocked up enough goods were standing at the door cursing. Whether it was today's upgrade or the temperature drop at noon, it came too suddenly. It was like watching two peerless masters begin to use their inner strength to prepare for a devastating blow. As a result, the front was huge and the back directly stretched their hips. In the evening, Lu Feng felt that the two of them really had no tricks left, so he simply accepted a TV interview through a radio station. "I would like to know what you think of the reaction of Guangming Electronics, Motorola, and Toshiba today," the host asked. "I actually said it during the live TV broadcast that day that my company has been dissolved and I am just staying here to relax. These companies are just trying to scare people and use some international names to blackmail small businesses. They are actually paper tigers," Lu Feng commented. "Do you think the two sides have decided the winner now? Or the market has made its choice? The market is like a big girl who can be dressed up by anyone. Whoever is more powerful will be married off. As for winning or losing, when they say there is a price war, they have already lost. Don't look at the heads of the two branches. What a rotten fish." Shatai and Vera, to put it bluntly, these two people may not be good enough to be small supervisors, Lu Feng said to the female translator beside him. "No matter how big the capital of the company is, you must have a conscience. Even if you attack us, you will not spare even patriots like Mr. Para. It is simply crazy. Let me tell you, no matter how much money they invest, they will definitely lose." Lu Feng talked non-stop during the phone interview, calling Shatai and Vera bastards. As the publicity funds of the two companies began to decrease, he began to maintain his face in the media. Some can't hold on anymore. In the evening, some news TV stations began to broadcast this radio interview, and began to truly evaluate the corporate battles in the past few days. In the office, Shatai was smoking a cigarette. Hearing Lu Feng's words, he gritted his teeth with hatred. It didn't take long. Why was it his turn to be so arrogant as a foreigner? Even with 10,000 hatreds in his heart, Shatai can't do anything now. He was like an octopus before. Every tentacle had a way to kill Lu Feng, but now he is almost like a boiled fish. If the compensation continues like this, the company's vice president is afraid that he will quit. They will never be able to bear such a huge responsibility. If the branch is allowed to incur hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, Shatai may really live to the end. The night outside was very exciting, but it was a pity that Shatai couldn't care about that. After much thought, he still called Vera. "What will we do tomorrow? If we continue like this, we really can't afford it," Shatai said a little decadently. "Spend some money and find someone to kill him." "Kill him? It was okay more than a month ago, now. I'm afraid we will be killed first." Shatai was secretly thinking in his heart that Lu Feng still had a certain bottom line. At least he didn't find anyone to threaten him. How could this happen? How could he, a foreigner, get to this point in a short period of time? Vera shouted hysterically. "It's better to report it," Shatai sighed, already accepting his fate. After hanging up the phone, he called Shi Watanabe directly. He was already prepared to be scolded. After the call was connected, he briefly explained the matter. It was nothing more than how cunning Lu Feng was and that he had fallen into the trap. Trap. Beijia Road. Waste. Complete waste. Shi Watanabe was already lying down. When he heard the news, he started to curse. He felt that there had been no movement in the past 2 days. It turned out that he was doing things behind his back. Are you a pig-brained person? You are a big international brand. If you go to lower prices with it and engage in a price war, the pig will feel that I am humiliating it when I call you pig-brained. As long as you know what a brand is, you can't do it. If something like this happened, $30 million were lost like this. Stop humming doing it and resign immediately. Watanabe's head was buzzing. How could he have such a stupid person under his command? He was given $30 million to buy media, lower the price appropriately to squeeze the market, and crush the opponent in public opinion. As a result, a major international manufacturer started a price war with a newly established company. Watanabe rubbed his face with his hands. He felt like he was about to cry because of this thing. He took a deep breath and refused to sleep. Now, Guangming Electronics' breakthrough is probably unstoppable and he must make this clear to Wall Street. Latest website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 927. Latest website. He also had to think about what to say about this matter. After all, he was embarrassed to say it in such an embarrassing situation. He couldn't say that the 2 major international companies had failed in their siege on the Thai market. At the same time, Vera also had to report the situation to the headquarters and received a scolding. Sato, the president of Toshiba's overseas business unit, was different from Shi Watanabe. It's just a small Chinese company. With so many advantages, it's so stupid for you to do this, Sato said solemnly. Sato is younger than Watanabe, only in his 40s. He has been in charge of the overseas business department for 3 years. He is still young and promising. In addition, Toshiba is in a period of rapid global development, so he is more ambitious than Watanabe. Yes, I am a bit underestimating the enemy. If we continue to do this, the market will be damaged. We are not on the same level as Guangming Electronics, and other means cannot be used. Reports and investigations are handled, but others ignore us at all, and some social idle personnel. Vera explained the situation in detail. After Sato heard this, he first punished Vera. All bonuses were deducted and he was kept on probation. Whether to end the siege against Guangming Electronics will be decided after discussion at tomorrow's meeting. Watanabe called Eisen and briefly explained the situation. Goldman Sachs was originally there to deal with Khalees, and it was not about any core interests. Eisen was a little surprised when he heard the news. In the Thai market, Lu Feng was not killed? Okay, I understand. I will report this matter. Thanks for your thanks. It should be getting late over there. Go to bed early, Eisen said politely. Okay, please. Watanabe hung up the phone. It could be heard from Eisen's tone that this was just a job to deal with things. The other party obviously didn't pay much attention to it. He also secretly breathed a sigh of relief and let it go. It is difficult for a big brand to suppress a newly established small brand in a market. The most common method is to directly shut down or compensate the other party through some judicial channels, causing the other party to go bankrupt. Early the next morning, Watanabe arrived at the company and held a meeting. He dismissed the person in charge of the Thailand branch and parachuted one person in as president. He was not allowed to cancel the preferential activities immediately, but he needed to withdraw the huge preferential activities and increase the marketing budget in the future. Improve brand image. After Sato reported this matter to the senior management reported it to Merrill Lynch Investment. Merrill Lynch Investment did not attach much importance to this matter. They just said that it had been done and the rest was not important. They just needed to think about Khalees. Just a personality. Sato's face in the conference room was not good looking. Although the senior management didn't say anything, he felt that it was hard for him to face it. It was a shame and a great humiliation to be played like this by a small company. We have a competitive and brotherly relationship with Motorola, but if they don't do well, it doesn't mean we can't do well. If we want to survive in the global business world, we must do things that our competitors can't do well for them. Only in this way can we have a future. Sato said to everyone with a serious expression, since the 30 million yuan from the headquarters has been spent, I don't mind taking out another 30 million yuan. The overseas business department's revenue this year is quite good. It only takes a small company to kill him. We can be one department. President Sato is right, we can't let it go like this. If word spreads, anyone can ride on our head. That's right, and I think it's a human fault. Vera, the president of the Thailand branch, made a serious mistake. If it were another person, he could have been killed there. Even if you can't kill him by directly suppressing him, you can indeed wear him to death. Everyone was talking in a flurry, and their words were full of flattery. Sato's performance this year was good, and the department had retained a lot of funds, which could be used for overseas investment, but he wanted to play tricks with Lu Feng. In the morning, as the stores opened, Motorola and Toshiba stopped offering discounts. This caused many scalpers who got up in the middle of the night to line up to curse, and there were even pushing and shoving at the scene. The scalpers who stocked up yesterday are different. Today they can take out the goods and sell them. Lu Feng got up a little late. He was eating breakfast and listening to the situation in the market today. Shatai had already left and someone was about to take over his job. Motorola gave in. It's really coming with force, and the result is thunder but no rain. Kevin sat across from him and put down his chopsticks and said, if these two companies do this, most people will be scared to death, that is, you. It's not over yet. Watanabe gave up. I really didn't expect it. Toshiba didn't give up, and I didn't expect it either. Lu Feng leaned on the chair and asked, didn't Vera say anything about the situation? Their company's external statement is that it will continue to invest $30 million, and Vera has been punished and may be fired. In a phone interview, Vera said that he may have to spend $30 million with us next. Tens of millions of dollars will take a year and a half, Assistant Kevin said from the side. Knowing that we are short of funds and can't afford to spend it, you still insist on spending it with us. You are really a good dog. When Shi Watanabe sees you, you have to give him a thumbs up. Lu Feng let out a long sigh of relief. This is really pinch on his 7 inches. If Vera and Shatai understood this, they would not end up like this. Mr. Lu, now that the overall situation has been alleviated, I can just stay. Why don't you go back first? We should now announce the success of the Thai market and get financing as soon as possible, Kevin suggested. Within this little time, crushing a Toshiba to death is not a big problem, Lu Feng said to himself. What? The assistant next to him was dumbfounded. Isn't it a big problem to crush Toshiba to death? Even Kevin felt that Mr. Lu was not awake. Lu Feng looked at the questioning eyes of the two people and said without explaining much, they tightened the discounts, and we also tightened them. At the same time, we increased the patriotic story of Tongpala and continued to strengthen it around high-quality domestic products as a selling point. This is the path of eternity. Understood, Kevin agreed and said, I originally planned to open up 3 cities in Thailand, Singapore, and Malaysia this year. At present, at most 2 cities will be opened up by the end of the year. After things stabilize here, I will rush to the next place to work as soon as possible. Kevin simply said his next step. Yes, but the person in charge here must be chosen well. Tongpala cannot. In order to prevent the situation where the overseas person in charge is dominated by one family, they will be rotated every 4 years. Some institutional arrangements in this regard must be carefully considered, Lu Feng ordered. Okay, regarding the overseas branch personnel appointment system, a proposal will be made at that time. Please take a look. Stabilize the market and drive away tigers and wolves. You don't need to worry about Toshiba's affairs. I will handle it. There is also Regal Security Company, which will be incorporated into Guangming Electronics. If I need bodyguards in the future, this company will take care of it. I hope that in a few years it will become a formal and world-famous bodyguard company instead of a gangster group, Lu Feng said solemnly. I will arrange it. Kevin hesitated, but still asked, then what are your plans next? What's next? Lu Feng lit a cigarette and said, let the world be prepared to be shocked. After saying that, Lu Feng stood up and left. They didn't know whether the world was shocked or not. Anyway, they were quite speechless now. Mr. Lu, has this always been the case? The assistant couldn't help but ask. Don't ask if you shouldn't ask. The discounts offered by Motorola and Toshiba were reduced, and scalpers began to appear on the streets, selling brand new products in large numbers at 10% off. The two stores were so crazy in the past 2 days, but now they are so cold. Duankai Nei overdraws future sales, which will inevitably lead to this situation. On the contrary, the door of Guangming Electronics is still crowded because after cancelling the discount, the price is still very cheap, and the large volume discounts in the past 2 days have made many people the first batch to use Guangming Electronics products. Excellent quality is always the best publicity. Means. Ordinary people don't know much about things in the business world. They just know that there is one more place with good products and cheap prices, allowing many families who cannot afford TVs and VCDs to have these for the first time. In the TV sales market that day, Guangming Electronics TVs sold accounted for 95% of the market. It would be difficult to solve the decline of the two companies in the short term. If not, they would always be suppressed by Guangming Electronics. After all, the slogan supporting the bright future is beginning to appear in some young people's mouths. Lu Feng took a short rest at noon, woke up, looked at the time, and called Maha's assistant first. Which one? Hello, I'm Lu Feng. I would like to ask if you can help me transfer the cerami, Lu Feng asked. Wait a moment. A few minutes later, the call was transferred. When Cerami learned that it was Lu Feng, he looked a little happy and said, Mr. Lu, why did you remember to call me? Lu Feng glanced at the translator beside him and said after listening, I haven't contacted you for a while. I wonder how you are doing now. I'm pretty okay. My parents have also come to Bangkok, and my brother has a decent job. Everything is fine. Cerami talked about the changes in everyone around him, except himself. That's good. I want to ask you for something. I hope you can speak more for Tongpala in the future. Now this company has finally stood up. Of course, if you need anything from me, even if say it, Lu Feng said very straightforwardly. Don't worry, I am reporting your kindness. Mr. Sampa has also taken good care of me during this period. Everything is fine. That's good. Lu Feng wanted to know how she was doing, but he didn't know how to ask, so he could only be polite for a long time and hung up the phone. With a low sigh, Lu Feng comforted himself that it was not him who made her come to this point, but fate. After getting rid of the negative emotions for a while, I looked at the time. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Khalees was still dreaming now. Let's wait a little longer. He waited until 8 o'clock in the evening before Lu Feng called her. Which one? Hello, good morning, Khalees, Lu Feng greeted warmly. Lu Feng, the other end of the phone was in disbelief. Yes, I am your little agent. Lu Feng, do you miss me? Lu Feng said with a relaxed expression. We were a little unhappy before, but it doesn't matter. Now I have some breaking news. You want it? It's free. Latest website. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 928. Latest website. Kelly's had already received news from Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch that they had failed to contain GFN Electronics in the Thai market. She was feeling unhappy at the moment. She didn't expect Lu Feng to receive such news, and she was a little confused for a while. Have you done what I asked you to do? Kelly's asked in surprise. That's not true. You don't have to be angry with me. This information is not simple. If you can provide this information, your promotion will be just around the corner. However, I have to ask you to keep it secret, and you have to agree not to bite me in the future. Me, Lu Feng said into the phone. What did you say first? Toshiba is selling precision machine tools to Russia on the black market. The prices are extremely high, and they also provide training, Lu Feng said into the phone. What's the news? What? Khalees was dumbfounded. If this matter was true, it would definitely be 10 times more important than GFN Electronics, and even more important than training a spy like Lu Feng. Do you have any evidence? Khalees asked hurriedly. Of course I have evidence and witnesses. Can you agree to what I asked you just now? Lu Feng asked. When Khalees heard that he was so sure, her tone instantly changed, and she said kindly, of course I can agree. With the relationship between you and me, is this a matter? It's just because of some misunderstandings that the current situation has happened. We've always been close partners, haven't we? Ha 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 ha, Lu Feng couldn't help laughing and said, it's really fun to deal with people like Director Khalees. I have an additional condition, which is to get Toshiba out of Thailand. Now Lu Feng says whatever he says, and Khalees agrees again and again. By the way, I would like to recommend a capable assistant to you. I will ask him to come to you in a few hours and he will hand over some information first. Okay, see you at the coffee shop last time. After hanging up the phone, Lu Feng called the translator and called the girl over, and dialed Mu Jia's phone number. He had been there for a few days. He took away all the copies and kept the originals here. It has been 3 days since Mu Jia came to the United States. He stayed in the hotel every day. He did not speak English and seemed out of place with his surroundings. The only thing he was thankful for was that he was still alive. The phone rang, and Mu Jia hurried to the bedside to pick it up, and asked expectantly in Thai, is it Mr. Lu? Yes, it's me, Lu Feng said. When Mu Jia heard Lu Feng's voice at this moment, he felt it was so cordial and even a little touched. He was in a foreign land where he didn't know anyone and couldn't understand the language. If it weren't for the safety of his life, he would have wanted to go back. Now listen to me, pack it up, take those copies of information to a coffee shop, and someone will contact you. Don't ask anything else. After meeting her, tell her that you know a lot of things, and ask them to pay her every month. Your salary is no less than $3,000, and you need to apply for asylum and get a green card, do you understand? Lu Feng ordered. Okay. I don't speak English. Mu Jia was confused. It doesn't matter, she has everyone there. If you want to live there, you have to study. Let me tell you, she will most likely arrange you as an agent. Remember, you must listen to me no matter what. Those people are crazy in what they do, but I am different. I can arrange for you to live in any country in the world and ensure your safety. Lu Feng gave a sweet data stick. He wanted to place someone next to Khalees. Although it sounded difficult, he still wanted to give it a try. Okay, I will definitely listen to Mr. Lu, Mu Jia said loyally. After Lu Feng told him the address of the coffee shop, he hung up the phone, and then he waited. The Toshiba incident that was supposed to break out in 1987 was now postponed to 1994. Lu Feng never felt that he could handle this vast incident alone. Times have changed. But as his energy grew stronger and he affected more people, it did change a lot of things. After the beautiful translator left, Lu Feng sat alone on the sofa smoking a cigarette. Now he could only hope that the main line of the world would not go astray, otherwise, he would not be able to work. However, Lu Feng has changed so many people along the way. He had heard of the butterfly effect before, but he didn't know how much energy his butterfly could incite. The night was already dark. Zhang Xiaoyan was sitting on the sofa and watching the clock on the wall ticking. Zhang Fengxia was leaning on the armrest of the sofa and watching TV. It was obvious that she was not going to leave tonight. He has been gone for more than a month, and there is no news at all, Zhang Xiaoyan muttered, looking at her watch. Tisk, 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 why don't you go find him? You've started talking about it again in the past few days. I can tell that you are the kind of old woman who stays at home. When you are young, you talk about your husband, and when you are old, you talk about your children. Zhang Fengxia tilted her head and glanced. Said, call him. I don't want it, forget it, go to bed. Can you sleep? I have to go see the new factory tomorrow. There's been a lot going on lately, so you should go to bed early. Zhang Xiaoyan stood up and walked to the back room. Zhang Fengxia now knows Zhang Xiaoyan's character very well. This woman always says one thing and thinks the other. She is a typical woman who says, I don't want it equals give it to me quickly. Since you don't want to, I still miss him, so I'll give him a call and talk about love. Zhang Fengxia took away the white gauze covering the phone. She had called Wei Yandan before and knew that Lu Feng was in Bangkok. I called the hotel's phone number. Zhang Xiaoyan sat in the room and listened with her ears pricked up. After the call was connected, Lu Feng spoke in English. Hello, have you seen anyone? Oh, which beauty does Mr. Lu want to see in the middle of the night? Zhang Fengxia joked on the phone. I was worried that you would be too tired to deal with things there, but I didn't expect you to be so chic. Lu Feng heard Zhang Fengxia's voice and couldn't help but said, why did you remember to call me? I miss you. During this long night, I, a lonely woman, always want to hear the voice of my sweetheart. After Zhang Fengxia said this, she peeked into the bedroom. Don't make trouble. Is he around? Lu Feng smiled and said, she misses me, right? Zhang Xiaoyan hurriedly walked out and waved her hands repeatedly. Nowhere, I miss you. Today the factory officially expanded and opened another big factory with 2,000 people. The output will be doubled next year. Don't underestimate me, I am also a big boss now, Zhang Fengxia said. Road. Congratulations then. There will definitely be a place for you in toiletries in the future, Lu Feng congratulated. These are all small questions. I just miss you. When will you come back? Let's have a meal and drink some wine, Zhang Fengxia said frankly. I'm afraid you drank in a fake bar. She must be nearby. Lu Feng smiled and said, don't play tricks on me. I'm not kidding you. I'm at my house. It's annoying for me to see you two arguing for so long. Why don't we get together? Let me tell you, I've seen Zhang Xiaoyan through this year. If you treat her badly, she will feel aggrieved. If you treat her well, she will do it, but she will do it with all her strength, Zhang Fengxia complained. Zhang Xiaoyan stood aside and hit her shoulder with her hand. I'll go back in the next 2 days. Things are almost done here. It's August 15th. I'll go back to celebrate the festival and congratulate you, by the way, Lu Feng said. You said it, I'll wait for you. Zhang Fengxia kissed the phone twice, hung up the phone, looked at Zhang Xiaoyan and said, if you don't call, I will take the initiative. You're not ashamed to say those words? Zhang Xiaoyan couldn't help but roll her eyes. Stop being so petty. We still have to hug each other in the United States. We'll be back in 2 days. You can sleep peacefully this time. Zhang Fengxia stood up and said, just be fine when you get back. Don't do it. I didn't do it. Then live a good life with them, and let go of what you should let go of. Now you are entangled in it, let it go. You can't let it go, let's be together. There are obstacles in your heart that you can't get over. Just go back and forth here, and you will slowly get stuck. Come on. There are only two outcomes, either he will have a child and get remarried, or he will let someone else hook him up. Zhang Fengxia said to her, stop being so petty. Zhang Xiaoyan was still standing there thinking. Zhang Fengxia turned around and said, by the way, that's good, let me lend him to me for 2 days during the Mid-Autumn Festival. After saying that, Zhang Fengxia went back to the house to sleep. The next day, Khalees officially handed over the information in her hand and immediately launched an investigation into Toshiba Group. The evidence was so abundant that all the handover orders, signatures, and seals were complete. In response to Toshiba Group's violation of international blockade regulations, Japan was asked to arrest the head of Toshiba Manufacturing Group's business unit and the head of the foundry department. On the same day, the two were taken away by the National Police Agency. In less than an hour, this incident caused a sensation around the world. A spokesperson stated at a press conference that this incident is unacceptable and will severely sanction Toshiba Group. As the head of the overseas business unit, Sato was also taken away for questioning. The entire Toshiba Group was trembling. When his father started to show his power, no matter how arrogant and domineering his grandson was, he could only accept it all. That afternoon, Khalees secretly called the CEO of Toshiba Group and asked them to withdraw from the Thai market as soon as possible. This was a condition, but it was not a condition. Toshiba is not qualified to negotiate any conditions with Khalees. Now it is willing to do it as long as it can seize a chance of survival. The offensive that was originally planned to spend $30 million to encircle Lufeng in the Thai market has also come to nothing at this moment. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Vera, as the temporary person in charge, announced the disbandment of Toshiba Thailand, leaving only the after-sales department to provide after-sales services for the products, and said that they would definitely come back. Toshiba smuggling shocked the world, but what attracted even more attention to the global financial community was that there was such a bizarre request to withdraw from the Thai market, as if there were some interests involved behind it. In the evening, Lufeng got today's sales data of Guangming Electronics. For 3 consecutive days, Guangming Electronics' single-day market share in the Thai market exceeded 90%. This data report was delivered directly to Li Lin via fax. At the same time, Ms. Wei Yandan, president of GFN Electronics Group, also announced through domestic media and international media that GFN Electronics officially walked out of the door and had the largest single market share in foreign countries. Up to 90%. When the financial world heard this news, combined with everything that happened today, everyone felt their scalps numb, and the impossibility repeatedly appeared in their minds. This is absolutely impossible. A little Lufeng can actually play with global political affairs and capital. He suddenly found Toshiba's leverage. At this moment, the whole world was shocked. Latest website. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 929. Latest website. Everyone who is involved in the international business world knows that doing business is not difficult. The difficulty lies in whether people will let you do business. Countries are intertwined and the relationships are complicated. Once you are excluded from the core circle, you will be in trouble for the rest of your life. Don't try to be big. However, Lufeng was still able to break out of the siege. This was definitely not something that ordinary people could control. He had to use both sides and seize every opportunity. After Li Lin received the fax, she immediately called John, the head of Schroeder Electronics Group. On the phone, Li Lin said that GFN Electronics had made a major breakthrough in its overseas business. John and several senior executives made an urgent appointment with Li Lin. At the conference table, Li Lin handed over the relevant information, and everyone present was silent after reading it. They didn't know what Lu Feng had been doing in Thailand for more than a month, but such a shocking turn of events happened right in front of them. Cast. John said just one word, and others present applauded. It doesn't matter what the relationship between Lu Feng and Lewinsky was before, or how many of them were true or false. They saw Lu Feng's ability. When a boss begins to understand how the international community works, he will be as comfortable as a duck in water. If he doesn't invest in such a person, who will he invest in? Within 1 month, we completed the investment contract, and the first batch of us $500 million was received first. John was particularly generous. He stood up and shook hands with Li Lin and said, "Thank you for your persistence. After such a long time, your persistence is meaningful." Li Lin's eyes were red. It has been so difficult these past few months. Not only did she have to keep in touch with the country, but she also had to face the ever-changing situation. She choked up and said, "Thank you." Wall Street was even more surprised by GFN Electronics' reaction. This small company that had been ridiculed for more than half a month actually ushered in a gorgeous counterattack. The whole world is paying attention to the Toshiba incident. Only Lambert is staring at the news about GFN Electronics. The office is a little quiet. He really saw Lu Feng right. This person has great potential. But such a potential person cannot be suppressed, and he still stands with the financial city. Now is an important time for the United States to compete for the global high-end manufacturing peak. If Lu Feng rises and intervenes, don't blame him. These Wall Street companies are welcome. Lambert picked up the phone and called Eisen. "Come to my office." A few minutes later, Eisen knocked on the door and walked in, saying, "What are your orders?" "Check what other assets GFN Electronics has overseas. It needs to be targeted. This company should start to focus on it and maintain appropriate contact with Lu Feng and tell him that we are willing to invest," Lambert said solemnly. "Good." The Toshiba incident completely covered up the matter of GFN Electronics. The Thai people were a little confused when Toshiba withdrew overnight. They were afraid that Motorola would also leave. The scalpers who had been hoarding the goods began to dump the goods in large quantities, while Guangming Electronics took the opportunity to go crazy. Dominate the market. 2 days passed by in a flash. These 2 days were the craziest days for Guangming Electronics. Lu Feng watched with his own eyes as Tongpala accepted various praises from the media and watched him move towards the altar. The company here is on the right track. After Kevin completes the company's layout, he will transfer a branch vice president from China to supervise. The chairman will be Tongpala, and the executive president will be a local professional manager. The 3 parties supervise each other and work together. And he himself is going to fight in Malaysia. Lu Feng has also booked a ticket to return to China tomorrow. According to preliminary plans, the Thai market will bring profits to the headquarters of no less than 50 million yuan this year, and it is estimated that it will not be less than 200 million yuan per year in the future. Such profits have confirmed GFN Electronics' unshakable position in the country. Any domestic company that wants to catch up or even kill GFN Electronics in the short term is wishful thinking. I called Zhang Xiaoyan in the evening, chatted with Duo for a while, and planned to go back to the airport to buy some gifts tomorrow. Just after I hung up, the phone rang again. "What's wrong?" Lu Feng thought it was Duo calling again. "I heard you're leaving," Zalun's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Ah. Yes, time is so rushed. If I have a chance, I will definitely have dinner with you," Lu Feng said politely. "It's okay, I understand. I didn't want to disturb you at first, but I felt in my heart that maybe after this phone call, I don't know when I can see you again. It's good. From now on, we will be on opposite sides of the world. See you later," Jalun sighed with emotion. Road. See you later. Du. Zailun hung up the phone. Lu Feng can feel his loss. He knows that feeling. There is a lot of love in this world, and there is also a lot that cannot be obtained. No matter what kind of love it is, it should exist. The premise of its existence is to respect everyone. Disturb the other person. Forgetting each other in the world is a kind of freedom and ease. Whether you like it or not, it has passed. When the sun rises, put that person in the deepest part of your heart, raise your head, look forward, and move forward. The next day, at around 9 o'clock in the morning, Lu Feng boarded the plane at Bangkok airport with a few assistants. When he arrived, all the bodyguards had already returned home, and the captain and several others had also stayed at the Regal Security Company, which was considered a good place to stay. As the plane took off, Lu Feng took a deep breath and felt a little excited. After 2 lifetimes, he has finally become the CEO of a company. How could he not be excited? There are others who are even more excited than him. Sun Hung Kai's Genkin and United Capital's major shareholders. As the dust settles, their life-saving pills are finally available. Let it go. At the headquarters of GFN Electronics Group, good news came one after another. The entire top management was all smiles today. Du Guoying even held a meeting, where he boasted about selling pagers to the United States. The entire group was in harmony. Wei Yandan even asked people from the administrative department to organize a welcome party to greet Mr. Lu at the airport. Wei Yandan, Zhu Lidong, and Du Guoying all went there. Even the most worried financial person is smiling today. The investment from Schroeder Group has not yet arrived, but news has come from Sun Hung Kai that 300 million in funds will be transferred within this week. This can be regarded as alleviating the financial dilemma. After some financial calculations, the subsequent $500 million from Schroeder Investment Group has been received. Even if other departments are ruined this year, they will not be short of money this year. Everyone in the finance department was excited. For such a large group company, the most important source of money was not the products, but the boss raising money everywhere. It can be regarded as the only one in the industry. As Lu Feng walked out of the VIP aisle, a banner had been pulled up outside, saying a warm welcome to Mr. Lu Feng, chairman of GFN Electronics Group, to return to China. Oh, is it so lively? Lu Feng was a little surprised when he saw everyone. Hurry up and give flowers to Mr. Lu, Wei Yandan said excitedly. Several bouquets of flowers were placed in Lu Feng's hands, and Wei Yandan, Zhu Lidong, Du Guoying, and Liukan all stepped forward to take photos to record this important moment. Liukan stood nearby and was extremely excited. His eyes kept looking at Lu Feng's face, and he almost wrote the word "give money" on his face. Okay, we have taken an important step. This step is not easy, but we have survived. The darkest time has passed, and now it is time to welcome the light. Lu Feng looked at everyone and said. Everyone present had some emotion on their faces, and Wei Yandan even had red eyes. Okay, this is not the place where we agreed. Let's go back to the company first. 5 business cars were waiting outside. After getting in the car, Lu Feng glanced at everyone, fixed his eyes on Liukan's face, and asked, "How is Ruxin Laboratory?" It has been officially launched. By the end of this year, there should be some results in digital communications. If the speed is fast, we will have independent digital information technology for mobile communications next year, and it should be no problem to launch mobile phones. Liukan's face could not stop. Zuda said with a smile, "Our many collaborative laboratories around the world have achieved good results, at least in the key areas of design, motherboards, materials, displays, information decryption, information compilation, and digital transmission. We are rich, and those foreigners say anything." Ha 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 ha, Lu Feng smiled very proudly and said, "It's so damn good to have money." "That's so damn good," Liukan said happily. Zhu Lidong sat in the back with a somewhat bitter smile. Mobile phones will be the key business next year. I want to see the project come to fruition next year and it will be officially launched in 1996. Lu Feng set a timetable for them. Since we are developing in this direction, things like PHS will just be submerged in the long river of history. GFNR/U0026D company has caught up with the domestic frontline in all aspects of TV technology, and is approaching the first-line manufacturers such as Panasonic and Sony. In the market, its market share has reached 85% of Changhong's, and it has officially entered the market. The era of two heroes competing for hegemony. Other businesses have not fallen behind. Now the biggest competitive point among major companies is top students. Large companies have followed GFN Electronics and established talent transfer channels with major universities. The wages of top students have begun to rise. The field of VCD is also making crazy efforts. Sony, in particular, has mastered VCD technology and is rushing towards DVD on the basis of VCD. GFNR/U0026D company has mastered CD and LD technology. There have been new breakthroughs in soundtracks, image quality, and storage technology. And we are also seeking breakthroughs on DVD. Liukin was saying along the way that after spending so much money, the number of formal engineers and external engineers in the R/U0026D company exceeded the 2000 mark, and there were 47 project teams, all with their own research directions. As for how many of these project teams are doing blind research and relying on funds is unknown. Even if you know that you are spending money on some things, you still have to continue doing them. The car stopped at the entrance of the group building. Lu Feng got out of the car and asked Wei Yandan, "How is the production situation?" Both large factories are now at full production, but the initial construction of the Tianjin factory has been completed. It is expected that all equipment will be installed in November, personnel recruitment is already in progress, and production will be put into operation early next year, Wei Yandan replied. This matter is particularly important. With the development of overseas markets, product production must keep up, but there are too many employees. Last time I checked, these German assembly lines have achieved semi-automatic production, Lu Feng asked Rode. Yes, by then the new factory will only need 20,000 people to achieve the current production capacity of 100,000 people. The efficiency will be greatly improved, but the price will be more expensive. Lu Feng knows that the number of employees of GFN Electronics will be the largest in the history of the group. With the full automation of the assembly line, there will be fewer and fewer employees. These migrant workers will be driven from large companies to small workshops. With the reform of state-owned enterprises looming, the great layoffs will still happen again. Until small workshops appear in large quantities in southern coastal cities, these people will be completely swallowed up. Latest website.